Dana White abruptly walked out of Howie Mandells Podcast. There are two narratives here. Either Dana White and Howie Mandell are friends making a strategic play, or a bridge burned before the podcast and Howie wants to make Dana's walkout look as bad as possible. There are multiple interpretations going around, some calling it 100% real, others calling it 100% fake. I believe that it is both, and if you listen to my substantiated argument, you will see why. The layout of the situation is Howie sitting next to his co-host Jackie, and then across from them sit Dana White and a man named Ginger Billy next to him.
Today's a twofer, Jackie. Today we knew that Ginger Billy was coming in, but we didn't know because I requested, if you watched the live last week.
Okay, so they knew that Billy was coming on, but they didn't know that Dana was coming on until the last minute. From this, we can derive two things. The first being that the communication channel between Howie and Billy are separate from the communication channel between Howie and Dana, which is imperative to remember for the rest of the story here. The second thing we can derive here is that Howie didn't know until last minute that Dana was coming on, which makes us beg the question, would Dana do a surprise appearance on a podcast for the sole intention of walking out abruptly in the first minute?
Last week, I told you I was wishing, and sometimes when you wish upon a star, the star shows up. Dana White, you are an amazing guy. We
see Dana here for the first time, and immediately he is showing indicators that he is about to let someone down. Hard swallow, pursing the lips, eyes darting around. Even if this is staged, he is uncomfortable with having to break the narrative that Howie is about to build for him. Even though Howie hasn't really begun to praise Dana yet, Dana's uncomfort implies that he knows what Howie is about to say to him, which on its own could be an indicator that this is all premeditated. However, it could also mean that Dana knows this is how podcasts usually start. The guests are usually praised.
I can't thank you enough for being here. You and Ginger seem to be getting along.
Howie continues in his praise, and we see him uncertainly say, "You and Ginger seem to be getting along." But when the camera pans to Ginger Billy, he looks anywhere but at Dana. He looks to the left, up, down. He doesn't make direct eye contact for more than a split second. So obviously, Ginger Billy does not believe he is getting along with Dana the way Howie says they are. What likely happened is Dana walked in the room and didn't even say anything to Ginger Billy or acknowledge him. It is important to remember that before the podcast, the communication channel between Howie and Dana was separate from Howie and Billy. So Howie's comment on them getting along, when they obviously are not, could be to stoke Billy's anxiety, and ultimately his reaction, because Billy does not know what's coming.
I can't thank you enough for being here. You and Ginger seem to be getting along. You are not only an amazing businessman, you are an inspiration.
So we see everything we saw before, but now we see the added breadth. He's building up and readying himself to break the narrative that Howie is actively building about him. From the second Dana came on, his decision about what he is going to do was already made. Regardless of if the decision to walk out was premeditated by Howie and Dana, Dana's preparation anxiety is still there about how he is going to execute it cleanly and also in a way that manages how the audience is going to take it, and how Ginger Billy will take it, who is a giant man who is sitting right next to him.
Amazing businessman. You are an inspiration. You are a philosopher. The way you do business, the way you conduct your business and your friendships and media is, I'm jealous.
So we see the camera pan back to Dana again, and he puts his eyes down for a second. He's no longer as nervous. He knows he's approaching game time. He already knows what he is going to say, and he has been planning on saying it from the second the podcast started. We'll also see this in a second by the way he cuts Howie off.
But Dana, I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate it. I am so fucking tired of doing podcasts. I'm literally done with them. I'm not doing any more podcasts.
The thank you for the kind words is abrupt and cuts Howie off. This is what Dana has been preparing to say. He's had this on his mind and he is ready to break the narrative that Howie has been building for him. What we are going to see next with regards to the reactions of the people in the studio is going to be extremely telling as to what is real and what is fake. Howie's reaction looks dramatic, sad, confused, and premeditated. He has successfully portrayed sadness and confusion. However, there is not an ounce of underlying anxiety within Howie, which is necessary for any genuine confrontation like this. Dana disrespects your podcast and gets up and leaves, so the natural reaction would be confusion and sadness, but also, most importantly, a spark of underlying anxiety as to why someone would get up and leave like that, especially if he surprised you with his appearance and you didn't know he was coming on until last minute. There is absolutely no fidgeting, no rapid head movements, no rapid eye movements. Howie's eyes actually follow Dana slowly as he walks out. The bewilderment and the confusion is there for Howie, but the anxiety is not. Howie's reaction is drama. It's canned. Now, let's see Ginger Billy's reaction. Ginger's eyes dart down. He folds his hands to close off his body. His arms and hands are flexed, his fingers pushing into each other, his legs bouncing around, and his eyes dart around the room. He is desperately trying to relieve the tension of the confrontation. He is sad and confused, and he is also experiencing the underlying level of anxiety that comes with a confrontation like this. Ginger did not plan for this to happen, and for him, this confrontation is really happening right now. Knowing the information we know now, here is most likely what happened. Howie invited Dana on his podcast, and Dana told him, "Thank you, but I am really all podcasted out, and I only really have a few minutes anyway." Howie, being opportunistic, told Dana, "Hey, why don't you come on and we'll stage a walkout? Not only will it be good for publicity, but it will also be good for getting the message across that you don't want to do podcast anymore." When Howie and Dana colluded before the show, they must have chosen not to tell Ginger Billy, so as to keep the reactions as genuine as possible. The byproducts of a confrontation like this are anxiety, bewilderment, and sadness. So if you're trying to feign this reaction, you cannot forget to show the anxiety aspect like Howie did. However, this is an extremely daunting task unless you are a professional actor and have been at it for years. As a regular person, it is almost impossible to have all three of these emotions when the situation ahead is premeditated. And so when we see a reaction like Ginger Billy's, we know it's real. And when we see a reaction like Howie's, we know it's fake. Remember to like the video and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for the support. My name is Glidget Ronan. Thank you for watching.